Every year, I remember when it's summer.
Oh man, I just can't help remember when it's this, huh?
Miss Yanagi. Yeah, she was pretty messed up, huh? She used to be a friend of mine. Her name was Miss Yanagi. A few years ago, summer break, there were 4 families we got along with. We went to a day trip with 3 cars in the countryside. It took about 3 hours one way, and we went to a facility where all the kids and parents would do things together. The kids had brought us discount tickets before summer break. Want to try going? We had lived in that area before, and so we knew the location. It was summer break, so why not? We had thought. 6 adults and 6 kids, 12 total. There were 4 moms and their families. One of them was Miss Yanagi. Of the 4 families, 2 fathers couldn't go. My husband and Miss Yanagi's husband were the 2 that couldn't. After we had gone through all the facility, we were about to head back at around 3 p.m. when...
I don't want to go home yet!
Oh, come on, Miss Yanagi, you're a grown-up. It's summer break. The roads are going to be super crowded. It'll take us at least 3 hours. We need to head out. Yeah, I need to get home and start cooking. I had known how busy the roads would get, so I explained that we had to be on the road before it got too bad. But
the kids want to keep playing too. There's no point in leaving if we came all the way out here.
She wouldn't listen, so we ended up leaving her there. Let me just explain the area we were in. The roads in the area we were at were empty. However, there was a large factory area near the city that we played at. They had paved the mountains to build these facilities, and they were inside valleys, so you couldn't see much. Most people would need GPS to get around. A lot of people would crowd these roads on the way home from the factory, so something that took 5 minutes would take an hour. If you try to find a way around, you'd find yourself in some unmaintained road. If you're lucky, you get lost. If you're unlucky, you're involved in an accident. More than likely, it was the GPS. It would try to avoid the traffic and take you down some really rough roads. You could barely fit 1 car in some of these roads. There were sharp turns and cliffs everywhere. Of course, there were no lights and no guardrails either. You just had to keep going. During the day, you could at least see, but at night, it was almost zero visibility. Most people were too afraid to turn around. Eventually, you lose signal and people would panic. I've experienced this before. I was wandering around for 3.5 hours when some lady who lived there told me where to go, and I was able to get out of it alive. I knew that Miss Yanagi had the same phone and service as me, so I didn't want her to be like me. I had warned her to not take any small side roads. However, just like I expected, she suddenly called me in the middle of the night. Her and her daughter were both crying. She was doing the same thing I had done and asked me for help. She also barely had signal. She was barely able to call me.
Help me!
I knew what she was feeling, so I understood, but I couldn't do anything. Where are you?
I don't know!
I tried to calm her down, and my husband had called the local police about the situation. I kept telling her while my husband explained. The police are on the way to help, don't worry. But she just wouldn't listen to me.
We're terrified and you won't come help us! You're the worst!
And then she hung up on us. I wasn't sure if she had hung up on me or if she had lost signal. I tried calling again, but she didn't pick up. We had asked the police to save the mom and daughter, but we couldn't do anything, so we went to her husband. Right around the next day, the police had contacted us, letting us know they had her. I was glad they found her before she had an accident. However, the next day, her and her husband showed up yelling at our doorstep.
How can you leave us there? I'm gonna sue you! If you don't want to be sued, you better pay us!
You're the one begging to not go on your own. I told you we should go. I even warned you not to take any side roads. Please leave. She was still saying something, but I closed the door in their faces. I was tired of her and stopped talking to her. However, since we live in the same city and our kids had connections, I couldn't ignore her calls and lines. She would lie to the people around her, telling them about how I had left them all alone without saying a single word. They had begged us to help, but we didn't listen, or so she said. She was left in a place with no signal and had to try to find a way home, but she was lost in the mountains. When her phone finally had signal and she called, I had mocked her and hung up. Of course, while she spread these lies, she threatened me online and phone calls. I was tired of this and started feeling threatened. I decided that I would turn around and sue her for defamation. She moved quickly, almost as if to run away. I guess she didn't want to pay for the damages. It wasn't enough. I had hired a lawyer and formally sued her, so it didn't matter where she ran. It turned out she was at her parents' house. Her parents had dragged Miss Yanagi and begged for her mercy. I'm sorry for our daughter's actions.
She has kids! Please!
I had no intentions of letting it go, so on top of damages, I sued her for the attorney fees as well. Of course, my lawyer had no problem explaining that to her. I didn't want anything to do with her, so I have a restraining order as well. So, I just want all of you to remember that if you don't know where you're going, make sure you don't take any small side roads.
Thanks for watching! Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button!